Good day, everybody. Welcome to the Exchange 2020, the digital version, the only way right now. This panel is called The Future of Festivals Post-COVID-19, aka Coronavirus. My name is Jehan Johar. I run a company called Ra Music. It's a consultancy specializing in programming for festivals. For example, Sula Fest is one of my main clients. I was also the head of programming for Blue Frog, one of India's iconic music venues. And I'm also a DJ who plays all over India and in Europe. We have two great panelists with a lot of wide-ranging experience with us today, and I will let them introduce themselves. Kunal, let's start with you.
Hi guys, thanks Jay. My name is Kunal Khambhati, and I work at BookMyShow for the live events division. The live events division is about 3 to 4 years old at BookMyShow, and we've been able to make a formidable stamp on the type of content we presented. Prior to this, I worked at Percept, where I worked at Sunburn as one of the IP heads for 9 years.
Great, thank you. And Gaurav?
Hi everyone, my name is Gaurav Mashruwala. I work at Viacom 18. I run the live events and experiences business. The business has been on with Viacom for the last 7 years, and we cut across festivals, concerts, theater, kids entertainment, the whole hog.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. I don't think I need to give much background about the sort of global environment right now due to the lockdowns and the economic ramifications that are going to come up for sure. So let's go apply it straight into the festival world. Our first topic will be about the economic effects of event organizers, especially large-scale events like festivals. How should they look at the situation? Like, how are you guys internalizing the possible reduction in consumer purchase power? There will be an economic downturn. Sponsors will probably have a totally different outlook and much smaller budgets. On a technical level, from our understanding, the possible outcome is that until a vaccine is available, large-scale events could be negatively affected for up to about 2 years. How do large events and festivals tackle this? You guys must have already been thinking about this. So let's hear some of your brainstorms and strategies. Gaurav?
So we have been discussing this at length within the organization and within the teams. And while no one is certain as to when and how things will open up, we have anticipated that firstly, at least for the next 6 to 7 months, we don't see any form of public events happening. Even if that means it's a smaller event of 300, 400 people, we don't see that happening. So that's one part of it. The other thing that we've been discussing is that what we do is actually dependent on how the government opens up public gatherings. It could be a restaurant, could be a gym, could be a banquet hall, so on and so forth. What we're seeing is that we will definitely have to look at the festival per se, instead of doing it maybe in an extremely large scale in one city. Is there an option of taking the festival in a much smaller scale, in a tighter environment, to multiple cities? So while we continue the brand and some shape and form, ensure that the experience is the same, we will have to see how we can reach all our audiences who normally come together in one place. So I think these are some thoughts that we are having, saying, should we go multi-city? Should we make it smaller? Should we look at what really opens up and then use that to create an experience which is similar to what the festival provides?
Okay, great. Later we can get more in depth into scaling down, because that will be our next topic. Kunal?
Yeah, I mean, like Gaurav said, I think times are very, very uncertain right now. And I think, the way this is purely my opinion, the way this is going to pan out is going to be very different for different markets all over the world. in my opinion, maybe Southeast Asia might jump out of the virus, protocol and into normal life a little bit earlier than the Europe and the US. But what's happening in the Europe and US right now is that the tens of thousands of international festivals that are on hold need to be rescheduled, because I mean, we all understand that there's a lot of investment that goes into festivals and booking artists and putting together big venues, big productions. And given that most of these events are in June and July, most of this money is spent. So, and they've collected, money from, like big festivals like a Lollapalooza or a Coachella, or, Tomorrowland takes, money from 100,000 people in millions of dollars. And while they're trying to reschedule it 3 months down, 4 months down, 6 months down, first that chunk of international artists run needs to finish that part of their festival commitment, and then move into what they should have done in October, November. So on the international front, bringing artists down, making that a reality is subjective to so many things. So it's very tough to put a finger on, when this is going to be possible. It could be possible that our main season from October to March is replaced by Europe and US's, summer season, and that becomes their summer for this year, because it's practically impossible for a company to refund all the money, skip the year, and look forward to next year. That's where most companies are going to suffer and drown. So I mean, just to be bullish about India, I mean, I feel like November, December is a time. I mean, just purely because of the number of people in India, right? If you start public transport, more people will gather at Churchgate Station or Andheri Station in Bombay than at a festival or an event that we could put together. So it all comes down to when life goes back to normal in India. And that's when we'll be able to start planning. But yeah, end of the year is something I would look forward to.
Okay, so basically what, in a nutshell, both of you are saying is that there's so many environmental factors that right now are not in our control. Plus, in a world that is so interconnected, that there's a domino effect that also is beyond our control, like shifting of calendars, replacement of calendars, moving of budgets. And even if a place like India or Southeast Asia were to come out of government lockdowns earlier than the rest of the world, it doesn't actually mean that we'll be in the green, because we'll be on the tail end of other environmental factors. Okay,
exactly.
Cool. So then let's move to the next topic, because it links to this. I've called it small is beautiful. In the immediate future, the more sensible tactic might be to scale down the size of budgets and events. And Gaurav already mentioned this. And Kunal, from what you're saying, if the international circuit is affected, then we may have to be more introverted, look internally, So this presents an opportunity actually to go back to the roots, so to speak, more intimate events, maybe even address mistakes that were made at earlier stages of our local industries, because now we're almost going back in time to rebuild. So let's talk about some effective concepts for scaling down.
Yeah, I mean, again, the intimate concept is something that is inevitable, because before you get on to putting together 10 or 20,000 capacity concert, you are going to have to build confidence of a lot of people, your stakeholders, which is your consumer, the government, the sponsors, and how you present yourself in this scenario. I mean, starting straight from movie theaters, right? How they are going to restart. Are they going to just be able to open the auditorium as is for 400 seats, or are they going to take alternate seats and make it a more COVID-friendly environment to start with? Those kind of factors will again help us. Can we use an NCPA? Can we use the full 1,000 capacity venue?
For a second, let's say that, I mean, we could go on and on about the logistical restrictions, but let's say for a second that, go on the creative level. Like, what kind of things would you like to see in terms of scaling down?
Oh, definitely. I mean, in terms of content, I think that is, the small scale intimate events is going to be the way forward, at least for the next 6 to 8 months, where we'll see a much larger influx of small capacity experiences. And maybe that's coupled with online streaming as well. So while the independent artists like Pratik Kuhad and Nalayak and Indian Ocean, these artists have already been doing this for, say, over a decade. I mean, this is a very strong time for them because they have already adapted to their that scenario. But the upper ring of the Bollywood singers might find this a little bit of a struggle to come down a notch and themselves in a more private manner.
Okay. Gaurav, your thoughts?
So, Jehan, actually, taking off from where you left, saying, small is beautiful. Are we looking at scaling down, or are we looking at newer creative concepts, right?
Exactly.
For us, it's a lot to do with, there's a festival that we've built, right? And that festival has some amount of scale and a certain experience that you go to. So instead of looking at just scaling down the festival, we want to look at newer creative concepts that kind of work. One of the things that we are really tampering with is, as our festival, we always try and do a lot of work with new upcoming artists and new sounds is what we try and bring to the table. Now, honestly, the challenge over there is that when you do something like that, the artist typically gets an earlier slot and doesn't get to headline. Here's an opportunity where you say, hey, new creative sounds, because Supersonic as a festival is known for that, right? Can we bring out these sounds, and then can we actually give these artists a position to headline, right? When we're just doing 2 or 3 artists and you're doing an intimate gathering, which is maybe 2 hours, right? And not more than maybe 150, 200 people. I think this opens up a really fresh concept. It opens up a way of also looking at the music industry differently. It also looks at saying, okay, there are a lot of artists that today, may not are good in their own right, but for whatever reason are not being marketed or publicized enough. I think that's one of the ways we would like to kind of not scale down, but look at small as beautiful and saying, what can we do now so that when the festival is, opens up in all its glory, these artists also get that glory in and become part of the festival. So I think that's the way we are kind of looking at it. That's one of the concepts. We are also tampering with more concepts, saying if small is beautiful, and what are the new things that we can do? Again, what we want to do is take some of the experiences within our festival and then curate them, again, not small, but in a different concept. Like, for instance, we do a lot of things around food. So now, does food and music form a nice intimate gathering? Because restaurants, as we believe, it will be one of the first things that open up outside of, before auditoriums and theaters like an NCPA, right? So is there something that we can curate and conceptualize, which is a combination of, great new age, new food with music and create another vibe? So I think that's the way we would look at it.
Got it. Well, yeah, I like that. That's a very positive approach. It's about, seizing an opportunity and getting creative with it. And you, as you rightly said, not necessarily scaling down, but reinventing and going back. And I really like what you said about, supporting the artists who are slightly lesser known and giving them a platform with wider reach, and then integrating them back in later when things do open up normally, how to integrate that into your main festival, for example. So yeah, an overall positive outlook, and looking for opportunity instead of only scaling down. Okay.
Right.
So and, we don't have infinite amount of time, so we're going to skip over to the next topic. What is your take on digital festivals? Is this an option in the long run? It is a tough business. Profitability depends on many factors. My one take on it is that will increase in digital endanger the true spirit of festivals? This is something that I've been thinking about a lot, because one of the most important aspects of festivals is the coming together of people physically, so a digital festival, can take away from that in many ways. So I'd like to discuss your guys' thoughts on that.
So let me start with that. Um, so on, everyone, all the festivals are doing live streaming on digital, right? And the whole what we will eventually have to do is that the live stream will have to start building great content, but there will have to be general content that as a festival we put out that's interesting. The concept of digital is essentially my time is prime time. Now, all festivals that are going live and doing live streaming, including us, are going back to appointment viewing, which as a concept or programming on digital doesn't work, right? I mean, OTTs exist because my time is prime time. So while what we are doing is, while we are doing the live part, we are trying to build out content that is interesting, and then that content will be competing with any content that's available, whether it's on YouTube, on TikTok, on any OTT platform. So our way is saying, yes, we need to create the live experience, but we need to start building solid content with respect to our festival, which is viewed on an ongoing basis without appointment viewing as a time slot.
Okay. Kunal?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with Gaurav. How you present your content is going to be very important, and what you present, because um, right now content consumption is probably at its global highest, right? And people have, the tenth of choices. They have thousands of different streaming platforms to choose from. Currently, there is a form of content that is coming up. That is from individual homes and where artists are performing live. I mean, one of the best examples of this was Global Citizen, where they did a streaming concert with absolutely limited resources, with some of the biggest and best acts in the world, with 6 hours of live content beautifully edited together, for millions of people to watch. So it all depends on what you present to the consumer and how it's presented. A few weeks or months from now, you'll have more access to resources like studios and cameras and equipment, and you'll be able to present even better content than what a Global Citizen did. So definitely it is a time for digital festivals. I mean, it all depends on how you define what a festival is, right? Even a comedy festival of 100 artists performing from their home is a festival, right? It doesn't have to have a big production and a big crowd to actually construe it as a festival. So yes, I mean, the way you program your content, and it may not be palatable right away for Indian audiences to buy, but definitely for sponsors to participate. So yes, there is a monetizing opportunity, definitely.
Yeah, and also as technology develops, I think it would be possible to make these digital festivals more interactive and,
Absolutely.
something more than just streaming something from one place to the other. And, that's something that I feel is important, because we shouldn't get into a situation where we are just replacing uh, real-time on-ground festivals with online content.
Exactly.
Like Gaurav was saying, it should be a separate entity in itself. Interesting. Okay, now our next topic is, we called it reigniting efforts, because even after we come out of this situation, it's not going to just snap. International travel will be different, xenophobia, fear of travel, lack of budgets. So it's about support. Like, in order to help deal with it, it would be good if cultural departments and governments would financially support or facilitate artist projects in cases where, to be frank, in India, maybe the government support might not come the way we would like it to. So are there possibility of event associations or artist unions coming together, or any other ways to stimulate the industry back as soon as possible? Your ideas on that, Kunal?
This is actually a daily internal conversation, especially for a company like BookMyShow that is, catering to millions and millions of entertainment consumers across the board. How we present ourselves as a, COVID-friendly offering post, right from the time of buying your ticket, what are you signing off on? what are the safety features given from a event standpoint, or what the event organizers are doing on ground to make sure you'll be safe and secure and the people around you are safe and secure. All these things are going to be so crucial. And yes, you're right. I mean, you may or may not get any government support in this regard, but you could get a sign off from them saying that what you've done is, is safe enough for people to come. So, I mean, that's where we need to come together. Viacom, BookMyShow, big companies need to put their hands up, define what the safety and measures for a COVID-friendly event post the lockdown is, and slowly seep into building the confidence of consumers, run campaigns where we educate consumers on why this is safe for you. It's going to take a lot of doing, definitely, but yes, coming together, sending out the right kind of information to sponsors, government, consumers. That's what's really going to get us back faster.
Okay. Gaurav?
So, BookMyShow and Viacom anyways work very closely together on a lot of fronts. And I kind of agree with Kunal that, we'll have to look at health and safety standards. But like you were mentioning, we'll also have to look at, embassies and consulates saying, culturally, how do you support this? Because, there'll always be a fear in the mind of an artist, right? Traveling from one country to another to come and perform. Now, unless the government, right, and both the governments from where the artist is traveling and where to the artist is traveling, kind of say, no, don't worry about it. We are, we've taken care of your health and safety standard. The artist is not going to travel. So the consulates and the embassies, especially the ones that are involved in cultural integration, will have to step up and play a role in this front. In terms of domestic communities like the artist community, the events communities, one, we have to come together, and two, also figure out a way saying that, okay, how do we kind of each one individually as well together represent the fact that we will move this at a quicker pace, at a safer pace, and still at an affordable pace, right? Because the consumer is going to be, like in your first question, right? If there's an economic downturn and even things open up, the consumer is going to say, hey, where do I spend my money, right? And they're going to rationalize that money. So I think in terms of the way we put out there from a consumer spend, I think the events, the corporates, sponsors, as well as the artists will all have to come together and say that this is what makes it affordably right to kind of participate in these events and festivals.
Right. Okay. We don't have much time, so quickly to our last topic. The power of crowdfunding in a post-corona world. If the event space suffers a lot, people might be motivated themselves to sort of save the day. Also, the ethos might shift where people have feelings of, anti-establishment, anti-corporate ethos, where the individual has more power. So this might not apply to large-scale events, but it could come up as a handy tool in smaller events and more grassroots events, or even like Gaurav, for example, when you were talking about new concepts, smaller creative concepts. Do you see a space and an opportunity for crowdfunding here?
Yeah, definitely I do. So if, like we're saying that at the end of the day, when the situation is bad, right, everyone who's party to an event has to come together. So that involves the organizer, the customer, and the sponsor, and the artist, or, I keep saying artist because it's about the festival, but everyone has to say, how do we make this work? So I guess there's an opportunity here to relook at concepts, actually to relook at the entire business model, right? It's not only about a different concept, but at the end of the day, everyone has to make money. Let's face that, right? So no one's going to come up and say, hey, let's just do this. And crowdfunding kind of is almost another way of buying tickets for your show, right? Without actually paying for the ticket, but paying for the show, right? And then different people can contribute. Some can actually come in from a sponsorship with a slightly larger contribution. So I think there's a huge opportunity there.
Okay. Yeah, me too. Kunal?
No, I'm definitely, in line with both of you. I'm very bullish about this idea and concept, and people will get a little picky and choosy about what they want to consume. And, this is a great way actually to address the reigniting part, that, you give the power back to the consumer, saying that, hey, you tell us when you're ready and who you're ready to see, and we'll present that to you. And, that kind of a concept could really, really help build consumer confidence as well. I mean, there are some outlier examples in the world, right? I think recently the Super M K-pop band sold 75,000 online tickets for their concert. They made $2 million day before. Again, it's Korean pop. It's a different ball game, but it's the power of the consumer at the end of it, right? They were able to present themselves in an amazing virtual 3D concert and, give you the bang for your buck. People paid $30 per person to, come for this concert. So definitely, if you put the power back to the consumer, saying, we'll bring you what you want, definitely a very powerful idea.
Yeah. And, along with it is not just the fact that the consumer is financially getting involved, but it automatically becomes an emotional involvement.
Yeah, it's a sense of ownership.
Yeah, and then also you can take it a step further where the crowdfunding has, offshoots where the people involved financially can give creative concepts to the festival, which then get internalized by a centralized committee, and then you decide on which parts of the audience feedback to use in your festival, and then you credit those people in the audience or in the consumer base, and it actually becomes a community created festival, both financially and artistically, so
I think we have a great idea brewing here. All three right people are here.
Okay, well, great. We're out of time, but I think we covered things quite well, and thank you so much for your time and your ideas. In a nutshell, definitely many obstacles and many difficult decisions and things to face, but at the same time, many opportunities present themselves, and many creative ways to not only fix, but actually to move forward, and like Gaurav had said, create something new and then integrate it into the old, and then you come up in a brave new world, so to speak. So definitely needs a lot of hard work, and people like you in the industry are going to be instrumental now as much as you have been before. So my parting words would be that along with the financial aspect of things, please also keep the creative aspect of things.
I would like to just say one thing, before we close. Sorry to interrupt, Jehan. For everyone who will be watching this, let's plan for the worst and hope for the best.
Yes, positive outlook is the best direction to take, but it needs to be rooted in practicality, which is why you're saying, plan for the worst and hope for the best. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Hope to see you in the real world sooner than later.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jehan. Thanks, Gaurav.
You.